Okay, it's 6 in the morning. I'm starting to get a little bit tired. Let's change back into pajamas. Let's play my movie again. Let's try to relax. Let's just chill and be calm. Well, I'm about to fall asleep and I hear this weird wet drippy mouth noise. And I look over and she's like hunched over, like how a cat would normally look whenever they're throwing up, but she's not actually heaving, but stuff is still coming up. So I immediately call the vet and I go, "Hey, does this concern you? Because my vet is going to be open in 5 hours. Does this concern you? Does this worry you?" And she goes, "Yes. Yes, it does. It does worry me." I would bring her in. And as I'm changing, I'm getting my shoes on, I find a puddle, a fresh liquid puddle that is not clear. It's brown, pink. It looks like blood. So instantly I'm just freaking out even more than I already was. So I shove her back into her carrier and we go back to the vet. So back at the emergency vet, and the day shift to night shift has changed. So there's a different doctor, there's a different vet tech, different person behind the counter. So I have to repeat everything from her history to what I think is wrong with her to the timeline of everything that happened, and the doctor comes in and she goes, "I am very concerned for her. We have an ultrasound specialist coming in. I want to give her an ultrasound because the x-rays, she looks fine, but she's not acting fine and her stomach feels very, very different. So I want her to have an ultrasound. The guy who does our ultrasounds, even though he's an outside person, it's the same price no matter what. And I want him to take a look at your cat. If you do decide to leave, he will not be back in until after nightfall. And with the timeline that you have given us with your kitty, that is very, very, very dangerous. He should be in before 11. And I go, "Okay, let's get a treatment plan. Let's look at costs. Like what are we gonna do? How are we gonna make this happen? Because this needs to happen and it needs to happen now." Because it is 7 in the morning and 7:30. I can't wait for my normal vet. So I ended up having them do the ultrasound. They found where there was a blockage. They took her into surgery. And the entire time I'm sitting there, I called my mom and I'm freaking out when I'm on the phone with her. And then I call my boyfriend and I'm like, "Hey, these are all of the updates. What do you want me to do here?" And he's like, "Just keep doing what you're doing." That's what I would do. So she goes in for surgery and it's like not 10 by the time I leave. And I get to say goodbye to her before we leave and they say, "We're gonna get her super hydrated so that way it's easier to do the surgery on her, and then we'll give you a call once she goes in for surgery." So I'm thinking, okay, awesome, everything is gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. So I go and I eat lunch with my mom and I come home and it's around like 12:30, 12:45, so I give them a call because they were always saying this, "Give us a call if you have any question, no matter how silly you think it is, give us a call." So I call them up and I'm like, "Hey, I'm calling to check up on Grimm." And so they send me to a vet tech and the vet tech's like, "Yeah, she's in surgery right now." And I'm like, "Oh, really? Since when?" But I don't say that. I'm just like, "Oh, okay. When do you think she's gonna be out of surgery?" And the vet tech goes, "Honestly, I don't know. I'm not comfortable with putting a time frame on it because if I say it's gonna be 30 minutes and it ends up being an hour and a half, you're gonna freak out for an entire hour and the results are gonna be the same. So I'm not comfortable putting a time frame on it, but I will definitely let the surgeon know to call you and we can go from there." And I went, "Awesome." So then I got off the phone and I cried a whole lot more. That is all I've been doing this weekend, is crying. I'm so dehydrated. And So at around 1:20, about 40 minutes later, they call, and I answered. I'm like, hello, because I was so super scared that something would happen to her. They even made me sign a release form of whether I wanted them to perform CPR or not. And I understand why they had to repeat this so many times, but it was heartbreaking to hear that only 3 to 5% of pets come back after having CPR performed. And I signed the paperwork. I'm already spending thousands of dollars. Another 500 is not going, it's not going to do much at this point. So yes, I want you to try to save her at all costs. And so I'm just freaking out. Well, the vet calls, the surgeon calls, and she goes, everything went perfect. It was a stereotypical textbook surgery. I went in, I checked all of her internals, everything looked healthy, I removed the blockage, we didn't have to remove any sections of her intestines, you know, everything looks fantastic. And I was so relieved. And she said that I should call back later that evening to check up on her. So I did. I called back at around 6 or 7 o'clock, and I was talking to, again, a different vet tech, but she was like, we're really worried about her. She isn't eating. And typically cats that aren't eating at this point need a feeding tube eventually. And that freaked me out even more. So I tell them she will not eat for you. When she is upset, she does not eat, whether it be physically or emotionally or anything. She does not eat when she doesn't feel good. She does not eat when she is upset. And she is not going to eat where you are, because it is a strange place with strange noises, strange people that had bad things happen to her. So she's not going to eat for you. And she said, I completely understand, but we have to have her eat before she goes home. And I totally understood that, because you have a surgery, you don't feel good, but you need to eat, even though you don't want to. And if you don't eat, you start to feel worse and worse and worse, so then you don't want to eat even more. So it's just a vicious downward spiral. I understand that, but a cat doesn't really. So this morning I called at 7. I go to bed at 2. I wake up every hour or two until my alarm goes off at 7. I woke up before my alarm. And just because this is the first night that I have spent without my cat and without my boyfriend. So my anxiety was sky high. I watched movies all night. I fell asleep to movies. And I call at 7 and they go, she still isn't eating. Is there anything that you could think to do? And I go, you know what? I can come in. I can bring some food. I'll bring a blanket for us to snuggle in. I'll bring her favorite blanket and we'll go from there. And she goes, awesome. When can I expect you in? Like, I will be there latest at 8. So I stopped by the grocery store so that way I could get some food for her. She loves cheese, but hates wet food. And I wanted to get her for her first birthday 2 years ago. I got her a can of wet food. And I was like, happy birthday, you normally eat dry food, here's some wet food. And she didn't touch it. And I realized now that it's like a texture thing, but there's also a flavor thing there too. She doesn't like it. And out of curiosity, I had gotten like tons of different flavors, and I had one that was turkey and cheese with gravy. And so I gave her that because she loves cheese. She loves cheese. And I gave that to her and she ate it and ate it and ate it and then leaned over to the side and threw up because she had eaten so much, and then kept eating. She's a tiny cat with a tiny stomach. I should have only given her half of the can, max. But I was so enthusiastic that I just gave her the whole can, and she ate so much of it so enthusiastically, so quickly that her body was upset. But I remember that, and she still likes to eat it, so I went and I got that can of food because I didn't have any, and I went to the vet, and I had her favorite blanket, and we snuggled on the blanket for 2 hours? 2.5 hours? Almost 3? 3 hours. And She went from being wide-eyed and shivering and freaking out to sitting there snuggling with me, letting me like pet her, and she was purring. The entire time I had this can of cat food open for her, and I'd like touch the gravy and then like touch her nose, and she would lick the gravy off of her face and get this look on her face like, that's really tasty. Where is that? And then I'd show her the can and she'd start growling at me. So at 11:30, the vet tech came in and said, "Hey, how's she doing?" And I went, "Honestly, I don't think she's gonna eat. Do you think it'd be okay to take her home without eating?" And he's like, "That's not my call to make. It's the doctor's call. I'll have her talk with you." So about 15 minutes later, the doctor comes in and she goes, "Hey, how are you? I think that it would be okay for her to go home without having eaten, because it was such a good surgery. It was like textbook case. We didn't have to remove anything. You know, she did so well in surgery that I think she'll be okay." And so we got home. On the way there, I stopped at Petco and I tried to find a soft collar, because she has one of those, she has a cone of shame, and it's so sad. She hates it. And I was trying to see if Petco had a smaller one. They only have them for dogs, not cats, and they're too big. So, there's that. And she is sitting right here. She's sitting over here, down here. That's why my backdrop is a little bit wonky, because she's sitting to the side. And she doesn't feel good. And I feel really bad for her, but she has pain meds, and I just want her to eat. And I don't know if she will, and it really freaks me out. But she has staples, and and the surgeon said that if everything goes well, she eats today, you know, doesn't show any signs of like backtracking, if she is improving every day, or even not even improving, if she's just staying at the same rate of being okay, then that's awesome. That's what we want to see. So after 2 weeks, you can get her staples removed. You can either come into us or you can go to your normal vet. And I'm planning on going to my normal vet just because it's cheaper, but on the bright side, I still have my kitty cat. I still have my gremlin, and she did so well in surgery, so she should be okay. But that is what my weekend has been. I've never really had a super awesome Labor Day. I have always worked retail, and Labor Day is a big sales day, so I've always worked Labor Day. This is one of the first Labor Days that I've had off. I have a Sunday and a Monday off, and the Monday is Labor Day. Just, oh my goodness. And then this happens, and my boyfriend is out of town. That's what's been going on. I have been trying to film more things, but I don't even know anymore. I don't even know what to do to cheer myself up. Whenever someone asks, "Hey, how are you?" "Okay, I'm just okay." And that's as good as I can get. Just because life kind of sucks right now. So yeah. I'll see you guys later. Ta-ta.
Here is an update for you all. It's been a week since she came home. She's doing really, really well. She's eating, she's drinking. We took her off her pain meds on Friday like we were supposed to. And so far she's just been sleeping, which is great. And so far so good.